has to scan it and send it out.
We have a volunteer response because that we never. We're allowed to.
Let's do
This is industrial development.
this year's the one amazing down here.
Sitting down.
Functions.
Right.
Yes.
Well, we're.
It does get confusing.
I may send the other one just on behalf of.
Well, good morning, everybody. You know, this feels like when I was in school, everybody sat in the back of the room to try to avoid the front, so if they didn't get their homework done, they wouldn't get called on, you know. Anyway, good morning. It's time to get a public hearing started. I would make just a note before we begin that the meeting is being recorded for rebroadcast on our website. And that's not to scare you, it is just to have an accurate record of what are done and an opportunity for you to review what you've said or what someone else said at a later date. Let me just go over the rules of the public hearing first. This is a requirement by law, and it's a resolution regarding rules for public hearings conducted by our agency. It was adopted on 11/5/09 and reviewed on 10/6/16. At a duly called regular meeting of the Jefferson County Industrial Development Agency held at 800 Starbuck Avenue, Watertown, 13601, on the 5th day of November 2009, it was announced that among the purposes of the meeting to consider adopting rules for public hearings conducted by the agency. After discussion, the following resolution was moved by Mrs. Paff, seconded by Mr. Berto, and unanimously carried that the following rules will be in effect for all agency public hearings. Number one, the hearing officer will read the resolution of the board authorizing the public hearing. 2, each speaker shall be limited to 5 minutes. 3, a speaker shall not be to relinquish all or any part of his or her allocated time to another speaker. 4, written comments may be accepted and included in the minutes. 5, they may but do not have to be read aloud at the hearing. 6, all comments by any speaker must be addressed to the hearing officer, and there shall be no dialogue or open debate between members of the public during the hearing. The hearing officer will not answer questions or make comments, and there shall be no dialogue between the hearing officer and the public. Each speaker must introduce himself or herself by name and address. The hearing officer may require anyone wishing to speak to sign in with their name and address, and then take the speakers in order of signing. And I believe a sign-in sheet has been circulated, and probably you've signed in, we hope anyway. Number 9, each speaker is limited to a single opportunity. Number 10, only one speaker shall have the floor at a time, and others present shall remain silent until it is their opportunity to speak. Number 11, no demonstration shall be permitted which will disrupt the hearing. If anyone has demonstration signs, they will be required to leave them at a location designated by the hearing officer. 12, disturbances may result in the suspension of the hearing and the removal of any offending party at the sole discretion of the hearing officer. The hearing officer may limit a speaker to less than 5 minutes if his or her comments are repetitive and have already been addressed by other speakers. The hearing officer shall announce these rules at the beginning of the hearing. That is the set of rules. I am the hearing officer for this hearing. We began at 2 minutes after 10 o'clock. As you've heard by the rules, it is an opportunity for us to learn what you folks are thinking about our proposed, in this case, draft uniform tax exempt policy. What will happen, your comments will be shared directly with our board of directors, and they will accept those comments and review them and change drafts of the resolution for the UTEP if necessary, or in accordance with whatever it is that they happen to be thinking. Our notice of public hearing has been officially filed in the Watertown Daily Times. And with that, I will open up the hearing for comments from anyone wishing to speak. And if you would please introduce yourself. I don't mean to be formal about this, but those are the rules we need to live by. I would tell you this before you speak. John, if at the end of the public hearing you would like an opportunity to informally discuss what's going on, I'd be happy to stay and do that with you. So with that, John, would you introduce yourself? And
I'm not first on the list. Do you guys want to go first, or?
We're told to sign in.
Okay. My name is John Culkin. You mentioned having given a draft of an 859 County Road 178 in the town of Henderson. I'm here representing the Jefferson County Town Supervisors Association. With me is Bruce Ferguson, Town Supervisor in the town of Champion, and Dave Surant, Town Supervisor in the town of Clayton. A while ago, all of the town supervisors received a communication from Mr. Alexander offering us the opportunity to comment on the proposed UTEP and suggesting that we send in written comments. Some conversation among the supervisors resulted in the belief that it would be better if we presented a unified response. So on January 31st, a meeting of the Town Supervisors Association, during which the draft UTEP was discussed, and we put together our thoughts on what we'd like to submit as far as comments from all the town supervisors regarding your proposed UTEP. I believe you've got Mr. Stinson's letter this morning. I just would like to kind of briefly go over some of the concepts in it, just again so that we're on record and you understand that this is coming from the majority of the town supervisors in the Jefferson. The first thought we had was that the Supervisors Association is not in favor of any tax break for businesses that ultimately translates in increased property taxes or school taxes for our residents. This position is consistent with a lot of the taxing entities who have opted out of the solar and wind energy system exemptions regarding with all of the laws that pertain to that. The second point we would like to make is that we're opposed to extending pilot agreements for up to 20 years. We believe that the pilot duration should be a percentage of the lifespan of a commercial enterprise, and that they should definitely be less than 100% of the expected lifespan of an enterprise. Thirdly, we're opposed to the addition of renewable energy projects for pilots. These projects already are eligible to receive a variety of other government subsidies and support. The general consensus is that they are not fiscally sound without some sort of tax abatement, and we believe that if they can't ultimately stand on their own based upon the revenue that they generate from selling their electricity, then it's really not a expenditure of public subsidy. We are also opposed to any pilot for wind projects in Jefferson County due to the negative impact that it may affect on Fort Drum. We are all aware that there are several pieces of legislation being proposed at both the federal and state level to prohibit the construction of wind facilities within a certain number of miles from a military installation, either prohibit them or make them ineligible for renewable tax energy credits. The Supervisors Association fully supports that with regard to Fort Drum. Fort Drum, from an economic and sociological perspective, is essential to the well-being of this area. It provides any number of positive impacts to Jefferson County and the North Country in general. We would hate to see anything that could at all be deleterious to the functioning of Fort Drum and its airfield. We'd like to see more details on the recapture of benefits process in terms of if benefits are offered to a particular project and it appears as though that the project simply was not going to end up doing what it claims it was doing. Apparently there's a process to sort of claw back some of the benefits. We'd be interested in learning a little more about that process as well as the ability of any particular individual taxing entities to sort of trigger that process. In other words, if there's a particular town that's part of a pilot/tax abatement agreement, and the town's starting to feel like this is just not working out, and we would like to trigger that recapture process, is that something that's possible? We need to understand how that all works. And lastly, we just ask that the UTEP include provisions to ensure accountability for those receiving benefits, and that terms are set forth in the pilot be enforced. That's essentially the high points of what the Jefferson County Town Supervisors would like you to consider when you are finalizing your determination on your draft UTEP. I'd like to, anything from my colleagues?
Sounds good.
Okay. I'm sorry. We'd like to thank you for offering us the opportunity to weigh in on this. Obviously, as a taxing entity, we're all very interested in it. We hope that whatever you come to terms will be of the benefit for everybody in the county. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Others who would like to address the hearing this morning? Should not be bashful. This is an opportunity for us to learn what you're thinking and take those thoughts into account when the board of directors discusses all of this. I'll ask, I have to ask 3 times to make sure that everyone hears that we're calling for any additional comments or thoughts at the public hearing. And one final time, is there anyone else who wishes to address the public hearing at this time? Well, there being none, and I would therefore close the public hearing. It's 10:15. We thank you all for attending this morning, and as of this moment, the public hearing is concluded.